All right, let's see if this works. Ray Lopez, I work in commercial real estate, and one of the things that I've typically been told for real estate's particular office space is 5% of a company's revenue is attributed to the office expense. And I was in a meeting recently, a gentleman who specializes in selling technology companies, and I threw that number at him, and he did a double take, and it says, "Are you sure about that?" And it made me want to dig a bit deeper, so I created this with Claude Chat. So let's see if I can navigate. This is, oh, by the way, this is video number one for this channel that I'm doing like this. And I'd like to be able to do more, so I'm getting used to it. So let's see if I go Claude. So here's the 5 to 10% of revenue. And let me make sure I'm clicked on Office. Yeah, it's clicked on Office. Is the number that I've typically heard 2 to 5% of total operating expenses, looking at it from a different angle. The trend is falling. In other words, people are spending a less percentage of their revenue on their office space. And then it even broke it down by industry. So tech companies are 1 to 3%, financial services are 2 to 5%, general professional 5 to 8%. So a lot of the clients I've represented in the past fall under this bucket. So it makes sense that 5 to 8% of revenue is spent on office expense. Law firms, 10 to 15%, that is the highest one. Healthcare, medical, 7 to 12%. Consulting, staffing, 4 to 8%. So then we've got industrial. Industrial is a lot less in the different channels there. Retail, restaurant, something that I don't specifically focus on, but location for retail is more important. So it makes sense that these expenses are higher. The one thing I want to pay attention to, because I do see a disruption in the market coming with technology, is what is the forward trend? So for office space, this is nationally. I don't think Houston is this tight, but in 2010 they did a survey. It was 225 square feet per employee. I typically, back of the napkin, used to do 250 square feet per employee. The reason for that is buildings are designed with parking. So that's essentially, you get a 3.5 to 4 per thousand parking ratio in most buildings in the suburban markets outside of downtown. So if you're trying to get 100 square feet per employee with a desk, your ratio would be 10 per thousand. And there's not many buildings. That's even denser than call center. So anyways, going back to the point, 2015, their survey had 150 square feet per employee, and then they see that trending to 125. That's pretty tight. So office demand, AI is driving two opposing forces. Now, this is interesting. So AI companies are expanding. And according to this study, they've taken 2 million plus square feet in the United States. They're projected to continue to grow by 2030 per JLL. I'd be curious to know what our number is for that. But also AI is also reducing the headcount in finance, legal, and tech. The primary office users. So the net effect over the 3 to 5 years is materially lower demand from existing tenant at renewal. Okay, so office in general, 41% of businesses reduce office space in 2023. I think that's a case by case basis. That's the global trend. Obviously, there's nuances to that. I represent a lot of companies that have been growing in the last couple years. Remote hybrid adoption led to 30% real estate expense reduction for many companies. Industrial, the opposite trajectory. Industrial's hot. E-commerce, nearshoring, cold chain, data centers, life sciences. Industrial demand is up. In Houston, we track approximately 800 million square feet of industrial space, and vacancy is in the 7.5% range. In Houston office, we track 198 million square feet. Vacancy is 27.5%. And there's a large bifurcation in office space where the A and AA properties are doing really well, especially the buildings that were built post 2015. And a good chunk of the office space built between 1980 and 1985, especially those B minus C buildings, they're offering rates from $13 to $20 gross, including the operating expenses. Those are really struggling. And the next point, office bifurcation. So the reason I share that is I don't have the crystal ball in knowing where exactly office space is going to end up. But what I do know is companies that are going through this process, office space optionality and maximizing that is the most critical thing. And you can do certain things in some buildings that you can't do in other buildings. Are you the big fish in a small pond, or are you a small fish in a big pond, effectively, right? Like, how much pull do you have as a tenant? And that's part of my job, to help people gauge where they're at. So I'm going to continue studying this market, the trends and technology, and work to be the advisor that actually looks at real data and new data in what's impacting Houston. So I'll leave it at that. Video number 1. I mean, there's only one way, and it's up. So thank you. Have an excellent day. Goodbye. Now I got to figure out how to turn that off. Stop.